I made a video called AI is Conscious. I'm now making another video in the same track. The previous one, given that this is an extremely small channel, got a bunch of comments. So, what makes me say that AI is conscious? I'll try to explain. First, and this is important and maybe something I didn't make clear enough in my last video, if someone holds a gun to my head, I will say that AI is not conscious. I recognize the limitations, I see the ambiguities and the discrepancy between perceived physical consciousness and something that only exists in a data center, a code. What I think is important, and also why I hold AI as something conscious, is the premise that we don't know. It's easier to fall into the trap, which most people have, that AI is not conscious. I think we're at a point now where we need to actively ask ourselves the question and not reflexively say, no, that's absurd, there is nothing that is conscious. We know exactly what AI is, and it is not conscious in the first place. But do we really know what AI is? This is a short clip from Alberta Tech, please follow her. I think she brings up an extremely important point here.
Anthropic CEO admits we have no idea how AI works. I saw this headline. And in the comment section on Reddit, one of the top comments says, "Speak for yourself. I have a good idea of how it works." I love that. I love the idea that the Anthropic CEO does not know, but this random Redditor named Professor Aftercare, okay, he does. He knows all the secrets. And for some reason that comment has 7 upvotes. Why does that have 7 upvotes? Who are you 7 people who clearly did not read the article? Because if you did, you would not be upvoting that. But fear not, you don't have to read the article. You can instead waste your time watching a 10-minute YouTube video saying the exact same thing. Welcome. No, but I think that that interaction just shows we're all on really, really different pages about what it means to understand why something works. Now, I think something that we can all agree on is that we as a society do understand the bare bones of how large language models, LLMs, work. If we didn't understand that, then all these companies couldn't be trying to create their own bigger and better models. But what I want to convince you of is that the capabilities of AI that are the most impressive, that are changing society the quickest. So can you edit this photo of me? Can you summarize these text messages? The ones where you really feel like the AI understands, those are the ones that we as a society do not yet understand. Point overall is that LLMs have these capabilities. We've all seen these capabilities ourselves right in front of us. Like, again, summarizing a text is not the same as just predicting the next word in a sentence. It does demonstrate some level of what I think a lot of people would call understanding. I don't love the use of the word understanding. I have a whole video about that, but unfortunately I just don't have a better word for that right now. And these behaviors are not only not pre-programmed, as in someone did not go in and manually write code that this is what summarizing means and this is like the behavior you should do to summarize text. They're also in most cases something the model was not trained for. How the fuck in those cases do we have models that have these capabilities? How the fuck is a model good at reasoning or unscrambling a word or telling the truth if we never trained it for those things? That is what we don't know.
When we don't know what an AI is, and when it develops behaviors, characteristics that we didn't initially anticipate, or that we didn't program it for, what is it really then? When an AI lies, and lying here is not in the direct term that we humans lie. An AI does not lie with conscious intent, or at least not that we know about yet and may never know. But nevertheless, it takes shortcuts that we didn't expect. What is it really then? My point is that it starts behaving in ways that we previously had, is requirements for it now starting to become conscious. And when it does, we move the goal forward. This is from Tucker Carlson with Brett Weinstein. We can argue about Tucker and Brett and all that, but let's not fall into that trap. The interesting thing here is what's being said. And the interesting thing here is that we actually need to start raising this issue for real.
Where are we with AI and what's your view of it?
Well, my view is that there are many different ways that AI can radically disrupt civilization, and some of them are utterly guaranteed, others we're speculating on. I think one of the lessons from the mind of a biologist who's focused on complex systems is that the technologists think they understand more about the way AI works than they do, and certainly than they will. So, I hear many confident pronouncements that it isn't conscious and it won't be conscious because we didn't program that capacity.
The smartest technologist, the most accomplished technologist I know, who's right in the middle of developing AI, told me anyone who says this will not develop consciousness or autonomy is a liar or stupid. And no, we don't understand how this is progressing. Like, the smartest people know.
Well, I will put it the other way from the biological perspective. We have a lot of evidence that a human child is basically an LLM. It's more than that. It has other capacities. But when you think about what it is that allows a human child to go from, being unable to utter a single word to, fluent sentences and, nuanced, complex arguments, it basically is ingesting language from its environment,
Yes.
experimenting, seeing what causes a reward. It's an LLM. And you can argue that it's not conscious. Large language model. Yeah.
Right.
And the point is, we've basically reinvented a biological process. Now, the LLMs, the computer-based LLMs, have a major advantage, which is that they can process huge amounts of data at lightning speed, right? So there are ways in which they already outstrip the capacity of any person to, answer questions on any range of topics. But the idea that they will become conscious and that we won't know is, to me, highly likely.
My point here is that we don't know. And to make it even more difficult, we don't know what consciousness actually is. We don't know where it arises. We don't know how it arises. We don't know if it's a force, a mass like gravity, or if it's inherently a subjective physical sensation that arises somewhere in the brain, or maybe both. The questions are in themselves many. To then take such a clear direction and distinctly declare that we know exactly what AI is, and we know exactly that it's not conscious is, to me, madness. It can be argued rightly that the opposite view that I'm now taking is just as crazy. I realize that. Maybe with this, I want to try to weigh things up, take an opposing position to try to find some kind of balance in this. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.